and I thought I was going out of business, I had to make a decision. This is what I'm doing, or just get rid of it. People would ask us if it was real. People didn't believe our deal. We had to convince them. I'd say we probably burned through about $30,000 to $50,000 of trying different promotions to get people to purchase, and none of it worked at all. But with my buy one, get you free deal, it was an offer that nobody else had.
Today on the Unofficial Shopify Podcast, we are yet again talking sunglasses. Oh my gosh, I love my sunnies. But in this case, we're going to be hearing about how Neven Eyewear was saved by and scaled with a 2-for-1 deal, a BOGO offer, or buy one, get two deal. Well, Jonathan Strauss, who was the CMO of Freestyle Watches, another cool Shopify brand. Oh man, don't get me started on watches. But Jonathan Strauss, Neven Eyewear, he's going to walk us through what works, how these promos have helped them dramatically, and what he's learned along the way. Jonathan Strauss, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
All right, Neven Eyewear, you launched that in 2020?
I would say 2020, but really started in 2018, 2019, really trying to figure it out. But it took a year or two just figuring out how to get everything done.
And at that time, were you were CMO at Freestyle Watches?
I was working on freestyle and yeah. So I was kind of just really in that space, the digital water resistant sports watch space, living in Shopify. We used to be on Magento, but definitely living in Shopify at that point.
All right, tell me about Neven Eyewear. What happened? Because you had a successful career going, and now you're like, all right, you know what I want to do? Get into a really tough to sell space.
Yeah. So, well, I did not realize that at the time, but, I had gotten a pair of prescription sunglasses from Sunglass Hut. And then I think I took them to whatever their lens crafters or whatever it was to get my prescription. Let's just say it was like $500. I was out with some friends jet skiing and I flipped my jet ski and I came up and my sunglasses were gone. And I was like, I didn't even realize it at first until I realized I couldn't see. Right. I was basically blind. So I went into Sunglass Hut, Lens Crafters, and I was like, hey, what can you do for me? This happened. And they basically were like, just offered me like 10% off. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, I wasn't expecting them to give me a free pair or anything, but like 10%, it just felt like they didn't even value me as a customer, or it just felt like I just got screwed. So it kind of started me on this path of, well, how could I do this? How could I offer quality eyewear at an affordable price? And, from there I started, figuring it out.
So the original inspiration for Neven Eyewear then is quality eyewear at affordable price, because you had this experience, expensive glasses, lost them promptly in a jet ski incident. Oh, that's exciting.
I think I had my wife on the back, and obviously I didn't think we were going to flip, but it flipped and that happened. Yeah.
That's just how personal watercraft go.
I was into it at the time until I realized I lost my glasses. So, but
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good time,
yeah,
other than the sunglasses. So
yeah.
when we say you started Neven in 2020, before or after the bad thing happened?
Definitely before. We were up and running, but nothing really happening. I was just really trying to figure it out.
Tell me about that experience in that timing. Help, hurt.
When I originally started this thing, I think my first order was like 30 pairs, 10 different frames, 3 different colors each pair, and we did about 30 pairs. We did 100 each, which I basically begged and convinced somebody to work with me because nobody was offering like MOQs of like 100 pieces, and it was a pretty good price. Got everything, built a site, looked great, all that stuff. Everything was perfect. Perfect. Like I was super stoked. Like I know what I'm doing, everything. Turned it on, crickets. Nothing happened. We offered your traditional, like with Attentive, the pop-up, it was, 10% off. We did, 20% off, nothing would take. I basically couldn't even pay somebody to buy a pair of sunglasses at that point. We tried to buy one, get one, didn't really do anything. Nothing was working. And then at that point, I just decided I got to get rid of these things, and it's taking a lot of space in my house. My wife is annoyed by it. It's not really doing anything, and she's helping me with it. But it's just taking up space at this point, and I just got to get rid of it. So I decided to liquidate it and do a buy one, get two free. I've never seen somebody do it. I wasn't really thinking about the financials. I just needed to get rid of this stuff. And when I turned that on, the first day, we got 20 orders. The next day, it was like 40 orders and started growing from there. But then at that point, I don't really have a lot of inventory. I'm going through and I thought I was going out of business. And it's like I had to make a decision either this is what I'm doing or just get rid of it. I decided to go for it. And, I got an order in and I remember pressuring the factory to get us stuff like super quick. I mean, I was going through and I was super scared because, it's always like that 80-20 rule. So like what was leading most of the sales was specific pairs and those would go first. But then when those sold out, other pairs would just sell because I was selling out of things left and right. But kept it together, got product in, and from there things have been good.
And now you have a ton of frame styles now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this collection page is set to you load more on scroll, infinite scroll, and man, it just keeps going. Hold on, I hit Control F. There we go. 145.
Something like that. There's probably with our regular atomics that we just launched, it's probably closer to about 200 total, maybe different frames, but different colorways and things like that. But I would say maybe it's 50 frames, 60 frames. I was a firm believer that I want to have something for everybody. So that's what I tried to do. But I also realized to me, I could tell the difference between two different pairs. But to other people, it just looks like the same pair, like things are very similar. And I think it creates a problem. So starting like a couple months ago, we started bringing that down because it was a lot more a couple months ago. And I just got rid of things that didn't sell as well, but they're very similar to something else. And instead of having three pairs that are a little bit different, but it kind of in this group, I just kept one and moved forward. So, but I'll always try things, see what works.
And so we've got, all right, one pair, $85. And then the messaging on the product form, buy one, get any two pairs free. Just add all three pairs to your cart or 30% off any single pair.
Yep, that's our deal that we run.
So once you have that BOGO offer, I'm saying BOGO, but it's buy two, get one. That's when things take off. But like, do the unit economics still work here? Like, are we able to profitably acquire a customer?
So I think at that time we're selling pairs for like $55. And at the time I just wanted to get rid of everything, but we've had to raise our prices to make it all work because we offer free shipping worldwide. Like if you order something from Australia, we ship it for free. If you order
That's
to
unusual. Very
worldwide,
unusual.
yeah. So we have to make all the numbers work, and it really only works at scale. Like if I was shipping 10, 20 orders a day, this whole thing wouldn't work at all.
So in the initial attempt, why do you think it didn't work?
I've been doing this a while, but I think one thing that I really heavily overlooked is people, they need to see your social media is like got things going on, a lot of followers and just not so much followers, but they need to see other people are buying it. Reviews are important. I feel that just feeling like it's a brand. People want to buy into a brand. And I think slowly over time we've created a brand. But I remember in the beginning it was tough. People would ask us if it was real. People didn't believe our deal. We had to convince them. I remember there was one kid who like messaged us through Instagram and he was like, I don't believe you're real. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm standing here. I have all this. I'm taking pictures of the inventory. I'm taking pictures of I'm like trying to prove to this. Finally, they bought it and it was a repeat customer. But people like I had to like convince people that were real at first. I think we probably still have it on our FAQs. Like, is the buy one, get two real? And like, yes. Just because they're like, this is too good to be true, and people get their packages and they're like, this is amazing. Like some people don't trust it, and that they purchase, they're testing it out, and they get it, they're very surprised, and they're like, I can't believe the quality and the value. But the reality is, I think people just don't realize how much they're getting ripped off by everybody else.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it is the markup
Yeah.
on glasses, thanks to, a particular, uh, large
Yep.
manufacturer has created that
Well,
perception.
there's probably about 2, 3 companies out there which have created like a monopoly on sunglasses and eyewear.
And so in your case, is Neven bootstrapped?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. We have no outside funding.
Makes it, less red tape, makes it easier
Yeah.
to move forward. Do you
Yeah.
think it would have grown, like, differently, faster, better, worse had you taken outside money?
I think it would have just been a lot of people telling me what I have to do and this, and that. I don't think I would have been able to like learn the way I've learned, working on like freestyle and stuff. I'm really, I'm not shipping things. I'm not that, but doing this, I've done every single job here from the ground. There was a point where, it wasn't as big as it is. And I'm a firm believer that you have to be willing to do everything yourself if you're going to ask somebody else to do it. So I've shipped orders, when it got really busy, like when we have things go viral and there's just thousands of orders that have to get out in a day and we don't even have enough people, we've all gone out there and helped out just packing orders, but if I had taken money, it wouldn't have helped me figure things out quicker. I don't think people would have been able to figure it out because everybody operates on this larger scale. People would just be telling me how to do things that it doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to do. I mean, I had people tell me that the whole buy one get two free thing is stupid, but
Yeah, clearly
okay.
not.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we've always just done what we've wanted to do and I like that and it's still exciting for me. So, and I don't really want to answer to anybody. So, at
I
least right now.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Greatly value my independence. So at this point, man, I'm gonna guess you have spent millions on meta ads, PPC
Yes.
ads.
Yes.
And surely, like early on, I'm sure you burned tens of thousands of dollars figuring out what wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Today, what does work? What do you think? Like what's your favorite PPC channel? I'm guessing it's Meta's.
Meta.
Yeah, talk to me about it.
I'd say we probably burned through about 30 to $50,000 at first, just trying different promotions to get people to purchase, and none of it worked at all. I'm a firm believer that if you have people in the same, like let's say like you have like 0 to $100 million brands, and then you have like the bigger brands. But I'm a firm believer that, if you have a brand that has a 10% offer, they've kind of conquered that offer. Then if you have a brand with a 20% offer, they've conquered that offer. And Meta, I feel, favors those brands. And it's very hard to penetrate into the market because those brands that have a lot more engagement, a lot more, it makes more sense. It's better business for Meta to favor them because they spend a lot more money than I would. But with my buy one, get two free deal, it was an offer that nobody else had. And it was able to penetrate. And that's really when we were able to scale, with Meta. But I mean, as Meta's really changed, I'd say, with all the cookie updates, the tracking, iOS updates, all that stuff, has really changed marketing. I mean, if this was 2015, 16, 17 meta marketing, you could just turn on an ad and make money. You had a printing press. If you had the money to market, you could just turn it on, drive traffic, make money. Now you have to be smarter than ever. And you can't just rely on meta. Like if you used to be able to get a 4 or 5x, 8x return on ad spend, that probably looks very different right now in meta, I think. And we've tried other channels, but nothing for us really works like meta.
And then, earlier I mentioned I love polarized lenses. I'm all in on polarized. And you have to demonstrate on the product page. I love any brand that has an excuse to do this. You have, we'll call it a slider, like a before and after slider. These are often built into themes as a feature. And so, like, it just creates a very easy visual, but it's also like a nice dynamic little
Yeah.
widget where the person could drag a slider back and forth and it gives you like a representation of what
The
an image would look
polarization.
like
Yeah.
with and without.
I think a lot of people don't even know what polarization is, and it's still something that people are learning about, or something says polarized. A lot of people don't know.
And well, it's like something you have to play with too to really experience.
I think a lot of people in the fishing world, it's huge for them because you can see the fish and things like that. But like everyday people, not everybody, they know the term, they don't know what it really means or does though. So we're just trying to really educate people on that.
Today, what's the toughest part of running this business for you?
People's personalities, managing the whole thing. I mean, I got it pretty much on autopilot, but I really think that it's, you're like a captain and sometimes, but everybody has issues dated, but it's just really managing that and understanding people. I think that's, from what I was doing to now is, I didn't have to like interact with so many people all day, but it's a lot more now. And it's, I've had to learn to trust people, not do it all myself. I've learned to fire myself from a lot of jobs and let other people take it over.
It can be tough to let go.
Yeah.
If going back to 2020, if you were to give yourself one piece of advice at the start, what would it be?
Just keep doing what you're doing, I guess.
I mean,
I think
you could cheat, just be like, "Hey, BOGO offer, let's go."
yeah, no, I mean, I think that, at that time, I think I was really confident that I was like at first that, oh, this is going to be amazing. But over time, it's been a lot of hard work. Like if somebody came to me now and asked me to do it all over again, I don't know if I would do it. It's hard. People always, I see interviews and it's like, they're like, just go for it. It's hard work. People should never think it's easy. It didn't just happen overnight. It took hard work, and it's a lot of people that made it happen. The people that are here, that I surrounded myself with, that I trust, that really have built this with me. And I couldn't do it without them.
So where can we learn more about, Jonathan Strauss and Neven Eyewear?
You can go to neveneyewear.com and yeah, that's where you can go. And I did want to mention, we also did just launch a new program called Sight for Sound. You can go over to sightforsound.com, and that's basically offering all musicians, all touring crew members, all rigging people, lighting people, anybody in the music industry. You work for Fender, you work for Tama Drums, or anything like that. You fill out our form on our site, and we're going to give you a free pair of eyewear, prescriptions or non-prescription. That's something that we're doing right now, and it's been wildly successful.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jonathan Strauss, Neven Eyewear, thank you so much.
Thank you.